and welcome to the Three Wide Video Podcast, a production by the Simpit featuring myself, Sean Cole, along with Amir Assad and Devin Booth. And this is the monthly show where we are here to talk about, our favorite topics of the week or month that in sim racing. So welcome to the show, everyone. Amir Assad, good morning to you. How are you today?
Good morning, buddy. I am great, man. I'm ready for the show and ready for racing right after this.
It's a perfect day. We got all of our favorite things. How about you, Devin? How are you? Good morning.
I am doing good. Hello. Everything is awesome.
I see you have your branding on the wall for the new Super Speedway that we know of. Is that
the Simpit Pepsi Speedway?
Are you lobbying already? Is that what's going on?
Name change? Yes.
All right, so it has been an action-packed month. On the pit stop on Friday, that was just yesterday, by the way. I was talking about how it seems like there's this acceleration. We're at the end of the year, right? Like everyone's trying to put their final stamp on 2020, and this is some hardware companies, this is software companies. Everybody kind of in a rush, it seems, to kind of, this is the final chance, whatever they're gonna do to their sim and hobby or hardware. And it just seems like we've had a lot going on, and this was kind of a big week. Like, everything we're talking about is stuff that has just come out, which is sort of rare for this show. So do you guys agree? Is this an end of the year kind of thing going on?
Everybody's trying to get it done.
I'm like, I'm so on hiatus with seasons and series and everything, right? We're in our off season. So I'm like the opposite of all of them. I'm like chill. It's like, hey, you know what? Good time to kind of relax and get ready for 2020. So this week, and I talked
2021, you mean?
Yeah, thank you. See,
we don't want another 2020.
We don't want another 2020, buddy.
I guess I'm not preparing well enough. I can't get my years straight. So everything we're talking about on today's show, funny enough, I brought up on the pit stop yesterday, and I had to refrain from getting too deep in because they are all things that I really had some thoughts and opinions, and in some cases, probably good that I've had 24 hours to reflect before I open my mouth. But so yesterday, one of the things I mentioned that caused a little more of a stir than I thought would cause was Fanatec had this big BMW. Oh, Amir, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad.
Me? Why?
Because you're such a BMW guy. So again,
BMW
this thing happens. I'm gonna this thing.
Okay.
The
BMW
let's
go through
wheel. The BMW wheel by Fanatec, and it's for the M4 GT4 car, right?
Yep.
Okay.
GT3 car.
GT3 M4 GT3.
Yep.
Okay. And this wheel is the same wheel, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the exact same wheel that goes in the car. It's the same wheel that I can buy from Fanatec and put on my podium base. Is that correct?
Yes, that is what they're saying.
Same wheel? They're saying it's the same wheel. We have an argument, Amir and I.
Yes, we do.
In their video, they distinctly show a guy in a driver suit holding this very wheel, because you can see the Fanatec branding across the top, and walking to the car and putting it in. Like, it was very implied, right? I mean...
Right.
So when we say the same wheel, I mean, that's what they were showing. Now, Fanatec has done that in the past. This is not the first time that Fanatec has done that exact video, by the way. Now, in the previous case, that wheel was a sim wheel, not the exact same wheel. Well, Amir, you own a very expensive BMW.
Maybe.
How much would a steering wheel like this go for if you went down to BMW, to the dealership, and were like,
right.
I'd like that new Fanatec wheel in my car. Not that it would work, but I mean, just talking BMW numbers.
Right.
What are we talking? Money? If it was the same wheel, because this is the big question about this thing. If it's the same wheel, then it would be the same price as what it would cost you at BMW, I would think.
So, and this is where, like, me and Devin were just talking about this before the show, like, because, like, me and Devin were arguing about this point yesterday, and I'm like, no, like, I can't buy it because for me, like for my car, if I went to BMW and hey, I don't like my current steering wheel, I want the M Performance steering wheel that comes with suede and a little itty bitty LCD display on the top, it's going to be $2,000. Because with BMW, you're always going to pay that M tax and the markup just because you're buying M tax. Exactly. You're paying a markup for anything that's BMW related. So
make sure that's quoted too. You actually check that price.
Yes. Oh yeah, you can look online.
So you
it's
guys
gonna be
know.
at least $1,900 can get you a suede wheel with a little LCD for a BMW car.
Now, you were talking about M tax. I know of one tax historically that is higher than M tax, and that's racing tax.
California.
Two taxes higher. There's nothing more expensive on planet Earth than racing an M series in California. Classic. No, but racing tax, that is the next level higher tax on products. So if this was, excuse me, I need my mute button. If this was literally,
if only had a stream deck.
I know, right?
I do.
That California government broke everything.
But if it was built for a BMW racing car, it would probably, I'm assuming, would be even at a higher price. Now, it doesn't have an airbag, though. I mean, that's a factor. But, okay, so Devin, when I mentioned this and when I looked on the forums and what people, there was like half the world is in love. This is the thing I love about a product like this. Half the world was madly in love with it in every aspect, concept, whatever. And the other half started just immediately being like, that's ridiculous. It's going to be, if it's real, it's going to be a fortune. And I get that. But then I thought, you don't have to buy it, right? This isn't a wheel needed by the Fanatec lineup, right? It's not taking food off of the plate. This isn't the one wheel the world's been waiting for, and now it's held out at this crazy price. I mean, do you think that it's okay for them to put out a ridiculously expensive wheel if that's what it is? There's a lot of speculation here, of course.
There's two cases that I see here, and again, so Amir perfectly referencing the $2,000, right? Let's say we're talking about $2,000 for the BMW wheels. That's a real wheel, right? Now we're talking about Fanatec adding their manufacturing line, so they might be using maybe some cheaper components on the inside. They might have a better connection for the boards because they do the sim racing stuff, so it's just like, less robust components, but when installed correctly, they'll still hold up to driving conditions, right? And they get the cost down to like $1,400, something like that, right? That's still a little high, right? But let's say they decide to eat some of the profit margins at that point, right? Let's say the profit margin's like 30% or something like that. So now you're dropping the cost down to like $1,100. That's within the realm of possibility for a sim racing equipment, even from Fanatec. It's a little expensive for Fanatec's line, but if they're making all of their money off of their wheelbases, off of all their other rims, off of all the other stuff that they have, they eat the cost there. They get another boost in like subscriber base, so to speak, because people are buying their stuff because of the BMW. It could actually work out. So I think it could be the real wheel, and that it could be a decent cost.
Even at the numbers we've thrown out, by the way, even in sim racing, that's not an obscenity.
Nope. Just Fanatec specifically, though, it's a little high.
Exactly. From what's considered a off-the-shelf company, right? Have now entered potentially that custom manufacturer level.
You think, though, it could shake up the game?
Okay, so now forget all that. What do you think of it? If
it works, it's pretty cool. like if you can actually take your wheel off of your sim rig, go outside to your GT car, right, and put it in. But if you a sim racing streamer, for instance, and a real racer, if they were to be able to do that, I would watch that stream at least a couple times just to be like, that's freaking cool.
That's freaking cool. How about you? What do you think, Amir?
I like it. I'm not totally in love with it. It looks odd. Like I'm totally in love with the BMW M8 wheel. Like when I saw that thing when it first came out, I'm like, holy crap, this wheel is gorgeous. This, it's a little bit. It looks a little bit like it, but it just feels off to me. I don't know if it's because it's the forged carbon fiber look that it has, or that weird. It just feels like it's missing something to me. I don't know. Well, yeah. Will I get it? Probably not. I'm not going to spend 12 grand, on a wheel.
Well, you can't.
Right.
It's got a new quick release, anyways. You'd have to get the new quick. You'd have to get the new quick release.
And I don't have a Fanatec DD podium either,
Right.
so yeah, I'm kind of
Exactly.
screwed.
Not
There's it's a whole new assembly with it, right? That's the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, if it's great if it can be used in a GT3 car, great. I mean, I think it's great marketing between Fanatec and BMW. They're kind of joining together to, sim racing's been on a huge push this year, so this is a good thing for them. But we'll see.
I think too, what worth mentioning, as we're talking about the can it be used, right? Is Amir and I were kind of talking, they might not be using one-to-one components between the two different wheels. It might actually be two wheels, right? It might be like BMW makes the rim, and then they ship that rim over to Fanatec, and Fanatec throws one of their button boxes on it, right? There might be some of this kind of stuff, maybe a difference in assembly where they're doing a little bit different there to make it the same rim, but that it does have different components on it,
And going back in time, by the way, that makes a lot more sense, even down to the quick release. I don't know what's actually been confirmed on this.
None of us do. Yeah, this is all speculation.
But in theory, yeah, sure, they could have done that video, but in the end, right, Devin, that might be the exact layout. That might be even the exact shell. And it might even be the exact button faces, and many parts might be very exact. But I think there are things that a car might actually need within its steering wheel that a sim doesn't, and vice versa.
Somebody was talking about the ECU, the chip to communicate with the ECU. Just removing that that's going to remove a good bit of the cost right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to force that compatibility at some exuberant cost. Right. It's Jason. This is not a replica. Right. I understand. But that doesn't mean that it has to be one-to-one from front to back.
Yeah. It's one of those things, marketing is marketing, right? It could be even just assembly. Think about just assembly. Assembly alone could change the cost of the product, right? And again, just removing the one component or removing two components, right? That could vastly change the cost of the product.
Yeah. All right, here's my thought. As far as butterfly wheels go, I think it's actually really cool looking. I've not really been a huge fan of that. What did you call the type of carbon?
The forged carbon?
Pressed.
Or the pressed, yeah.
I call it urban camo carbon. Because it looks like... I'm not a big camouflage guy. So it just so reeks of something that would be sold out of Cabela's. If Cabela's made a steering wheel, it would look like that. But that's just a forged carbon across the board. But I think the wheel's really gorgeous because I really like those buttons. Are they light up or are they just that?
They are
colorful?
No, they're light up.
They have lights, yeah.
That's the next thing I need to have in my next wheel. I need light up buttons like it's the modern era. A little Tron on my steering wheel, yeah. I think the color scheme's super awesome and it looks comfortable. And I've also just been dying to have a wheel that had the rotational buttons at the thumbs. Because as cool as butterflies are, they're not always the easiest to operate, funny enough. Like it seems like they would be. Like, oh my god, I have all these buttons right here. And it's like, yeah, but you only have two thumbs. I'm gonna give you guys, since I'm so slow at making things, I'm gonna give any wheel maker out there the next genius idea that nobody has done, and I would do if I had a bigger team. The next butterfly wheel should be built with recessed buttons for your pinky, your thumbs, your index finger, and your middle finger, like a HOTUS flight stick. And there's no reason that you can't protect them, set in a little hole so that you can still
Right.
grip the wheel. But there's no reason I shouldn't have 8 buttons at my literal fingertips on a steering wheel. I don't understand why that leap hasn't been made. Like, if you're going to make a wheel for a handicapped person, you'd either have twist grips or throttles, and you'd also have extra buttons in those places because it's just that intuitive ergonomically.
Sure.
Anyway, that's my great idea for the world, but I can't afford to make it, so someone else can steal it. But all right, any other thoughts on this thing?
No, I mean, unless you want to go, Devin, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just make sure you touch on that little picture of the base as we move on from it.
I don't have
Yeah.
that at the ready.
I thought
I thought we weren't talking about that today.
we were just gonna touch on it. That was all it was. It was just a touch on it. We didn't
Alright.
actually want to talk about it. It was just a touch on it.
Do you want me to go find a picture?
No, as you ready the assets for the next part. We just wanted to touch on it, like maybe speculation. With this, there might be a new base. That's all. It's just like there's nothing known about it. There's nothing really to talk about it. If you've seen the pictures, it's just shorter. The thing that it was mounted to was not a podium, but it was the shape of a podium. So it's just like, it's one of those things. It's completely a mystery.
So if a podium is a box like this, and they're normally about that long, this is a box like this that was about that long.
Yep.
Little cube.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just worth mentioning as we get ready to move on to the rest of the stuff.
Octa fingers, that's what I need. Yes.
You just need the Ready Player One gloves.
Yeah, there you go. So the one other thing I will ask, I see Jason talked about the look. Will you guys have any thoughts on this forged carbon versus crisscrossy woven carbon look?
I prefer the weaved.
Yeah,
It's just personal preference, though. It's like it's aesthetic choice. I just prefer the weave.
Yeah, I do.
It's too crazy to be the press stuff. There's too much random to it. It messes with my balance.
Yeah, I mean, the forged carbon and the weaved carbon, they're just as strong. Like, there's no strength difference between them. It's just a different look. But,
All right.
I mean, on that wheel, the forged looks better. I don't know how it looked with the weaved carbon. So, I mean, I dig the wheel.
I think it's an awesome looking. Okay, so last question, then we'll move on. I think it's a really awesome looking wheel.
Yeah.
I think it's comparable with some of the other high end wheels. So in days of old, it was kind of common for people. The cheap option for a direct drive wheel was to go get a Fanatec wheel rim, throw the chip in it, and then run it on your DD as an independent USB. Do you foresee anyone doing that here? You think that'll happen here?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, yeah.
I mean, I think, what is it, when they came out with their newer F1 wheels, like, there was issues trying to unencrypt the signal that was coming out of it. So I know they finally got around it with what's her names? I can't remember their names, out of England. Sim Racing Machine. I don't know if they've upgraded their software to keep it further locked down, but I'm pretty sure someone's going to give it a try. And then, you can buy that chip and use it on a normal DD.
Right.
I didn't even think about that. Absolutely.
I think that if I were a Fanatic, that's something I'd embrace rather than fight.
Well, yeah, it brings you out of their ecosystem and all, right? Mentality of the company. I get why they would be.
Yeah,
because it's the same reason they do the console limitations and all that kind of junk.
I can see them selling a ridiculous amount of wheel rims for every base out there if they did. Anyway, all right, on to other things. I think we actually talked about that longer than I thought we would.
Yeah.
All right. So this
one's a quick yelling at things.
So I did a little yelling yesterday. I did. I couldn't hold back during the pit stop. I am not pointing a finger at R Factor, and I am not pointing a finger at the EX0 right now. So please understand what at least me, we'll let Amir and Devin speak for themselves right now. I feel like right now electric cars in sim racing is the latest slut car. So for a while it was that 911, the black, red, white 911 that's in every sim on Earth. Now I feel like every sim company feels like they're left out of the game if they don't have some kind of an electric car. And since there are only a handful of electric race cars worthy of reproducing, a lot of them are going the fantasy route. So what do you guys think of green? I'm going to call it green, right? That's electric. Green sim racing. What do you think? I need the rant hair. No, I did mine yesterday.
Yeah.
Devin.
Uh,
Amir. Who?
oh, so I mean, so it's not R Factor 2's first foray into electric cars. So they came out with the
Right.
Formula E cars.
Right?
I think
Multiple
that update
generations
was
of even.
late last year, 2 generations of it.
Yeah.
So this isn't anything new to R Factor. What I don't get is why come up with a fantasy car? Like there's
That's right.
there's electric cars out there already that do some sort of racing series. Like we talked about it, I brought up in the after show yesterday, the pit stop. Like you could have just taken the Rimac car, which is now what the fastest electric production car out there. Why don't you just take that car, turn it into a race car, and bring it into the sim versus coming out with this car that nobody asked for? So that's why this really bugs me about it. Like I don't care if there's electric cars in sim racing, but at least use something that's out there that we already have and bring it into sim. Don't go into something and make a fantasy car. Leave that to Gran Turismo and Forza, not sims like iRacing and R Factor.
Does anybody does anybody like racing electric cars in sim racing? I mean,
That's what I was gonna say.
I'm asking the community. I'm asking Devin.
Yeah.
Does anybody enjoy it?
Yeah, does anybody in chat, do we have any, I'm curious to see if a single person actually wants electric cars in sim.
Because I don't like them.
No, my point was like, hey, so we're adding all these electric cars. Again, this isn't a shot at R Factor in particular, but like you say, this is the current trend. Like, okay, DTM, 90s DTM. Everybody wants 90s DTMs. There's a huge crowd that wants like to bring back like Trans Ams and Mustangs and Camaros and stuff like from the 70s and 80s, right? Like there's a whole crowd of people that want the new DTMs. There's a whole crowd of people that want like some good TCR content, which has been gotten to some sims, right? I think Race Room got like a really good TCR update, right? Whereas R Factor's really good TCR update, right? Like there's a plethora of other things that people want. What's with this e-car nonsense? Doesn't make sense.
Now I will applaud them. They came out with the VW Scirocco, right? But and again, I'm getting. Here's the other thing. I think that sometimes, and we do this show in order to look at things in this way.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Group C then.
Yeah, Group C. Oh. But at the same
right?
time, you don't have to buy it. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to like it. There's plenty of options out there. So it's in there, right? But it just, I'm still yet to see anybody who's like, hey, I love.
The closest thing we see there is Finn. The closest thing we see there is Finn saying that, like, I'll drive a car that runs on sheep farts if it's fun to drive. That's the closest thing to saying I like electric cars that we see.
Right.
So I mean, that's saying something. But to that note, like that kind of points out, like, where is our issue with electric cars in sim? Right. For me, it's the sound. I don't want to drive no shifting. I'm driving a fucking Bumblebee. Like it's not what I want to do. I want to drive a car. I
think for me, and I'm sure that if you get well enough versed, maybe I haven't spent enough time, so tell me I'm wrong on this. Please correct me. One of the things about racing for me when it comes to closing speed, hitting apexes, a lot of it is actually sound related. When they talk about a driver knowing to hold it at a certain RPM to maintain pit limit, there's an audio that goes along with that. There are these signals that we use to be better at our job as a racer. And I feel like on an electric, I don't get that same sensory input. Now, everything else is still there, but I can't time things with downshifting, with RPM change. I can't, sometimes I know I'm too hot to a corner because the engine is still turning too many RPMs, which means I'm going too fast without.
Or because you're in third gear.
Yeah.
Like I gotta be in second for this corner. I come in at the bottom of third. I know I'm cooking it. If you ain't got no gears, you ain't got no third.
Yes. So, thank you, Stacy. Thank you. Now I have to make the other. Go ahead, Amir. You're gonna go.
Oh no, go ahead, man. You're good. You guys, never mind. Don't worry about it.
So,
we covered it.
Yeah, but I gotta add one more thing though.
Yeah.
Whether you're talking real life Formula E, or whether you're talking about the car you mentioned, Amir, or the Toucan Tucson, the Porsche.
There you go. Got it right. Heike will be happy about that.
Electric cars and hybrid cars are the future in real life. So is it wrong to embrace its market share in sim racing at the same time?
No, and I think that that's one of the points I was going to bring up too. Is like, I mean, we're a bunch of old farts that love our gasoline motors. As much as we deny it, electric cars or some form of it is the way of the future. I mean, there's no way around it. We can hate on all we want, and I think this is like sim racing's kind of way of, hey, because even I mean, you notice it in motorsports nowadays. A lot of motorsport series are dying. Like, I think DTM might not even be back next year because of Audi and Mercedes pulling out. Now Formula E is getting a bigger presence in world racing. So I think this is kind of like sim racing companies' ways of, hey, bridging that gap to what young consumers want as these guys are going more towards electric cars. Like, hey, we don't have these big gas guzzlers in sim racing anymore. We're going to introduce these electric cars. We want you guys to be a part of it.
Sure.
So that's where I kind of think why they're doing the stuff that they're doing now by bringing electric cars.
Packy makes a good point too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No,
Who?
please.
Packy says electric cars, they're not everyone's cup of tea. No issue with electric cars in sim racing, but he enjoys them in RF2 for the high torque and acceleration. And that there is some merit both in the real world and in sim because they're modeled that way. When you have 4 independent motors and those motors have, like, you ask how much torque they have and they ask you how much you want, and it just depends on the weight and downforce of the car as to what you're going to get out of it. You do have some merit to the racing in them and to the speed in them. They do have merit. It's just the sound of the damn things.
Yeah, well, and I don't even think we're very far because we might already be to the point where an electric car can be superior to a gas burning car.
Oh, easily, yeah.
So I mean, and if we're going to be purists of speed, electric cars are superior.
Yep.
Or are on the brink. I think they're. I don't know if longevity. I don't know if any of them can perform long enough to do a 1 hour race like a Formula One.
We were talking about something before this that you pointed out, and not to go off topic, but you were talking about the wheels versus the DD.
Yeah.
And the internal components.
Yes.
The electric cars have a battery and 4 rotors.
Right. So as soon as they have the efficiency of battery to carry enough battery weight or have batteries light enough to last long enough, that's the only thing they're missing from just straight up being 100% better than gas burning cars.
Yep.
That's not far. We're right there, if not.
Just throw like a lawnmower in the back that runs on like really like ethanol fuel or something, just so I can have a damn sound. Like just a lawnmower that just dumps, and it's that's perfectly fine. I'm just give me some sound, please.
So what if...
I just want to hear something.
All right, we never know the direction of the show, so tell me if I'm off the rails and we need to move on to our other topic. But one of the complaints in society about electric cars is like when they're at low speeds in parking lots or going backward, that they're invisible because you can't hear them. So they want to make sound effects for these cars, right? This is already on... I think there's already rules in certain countries that have done this. And I'm sure it'll happen across the board. Well, okay, so why not? So what if you could have a really cool sound pack with your electric car that gave you the synthetic noise? I mean, shit. A sim does this all day, every day. So your car can do it too. Did I swear?
No, even cars are doing that already. I mean, a lot of cars add active sound inside the cabin. It's like, as the engines are getting quieter, what you hear in your car is not what actually the car is producing. So, I mean, we're already getting there, and it's not... And I think Teslas can do that, too. You can change sounds and do all sorts of things in that car. So it's not something that's unheard of or something new in the car world.
Playing cards in the spokes, the wheels. Exactly, and those are RPM sensitive. Boom, done. And then you tune your audio to the speed of that frequency, and I could hit Apex for sure.
So it made me think is just roll over a bunch of pop cans like you used to with your bike.
Yeah, right.
Get them stuck around the tire.
I got a 2-stroke Tesla.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, as we've had this, it just dawned on me one more concept of motorsport. Think about society. and so many things have gone through this over time. At some point, it's going to be to the where like it's frowned upon, right? Oh my God, you're burning gas in this motorsport thing. Because if you think about it, the young kids don't even get driver's licenses like we did. You know, because 15 and a half, I already passed all the tests. I was just waiting on a birthday. You know, on my birthday, I was at DMV. On my birthday, I drove myself home. You know, and already owned a car for 6 months. That was normal. That was everybody I knew. And now I know 28-year-olds who don't have driver's licenses. They don't care about cars.
Even when they do get their license, it's like most countries in the world. 14, you get a learner. 16, you get some kind of special drivers. 18, you upgrade. At 21, you're finally actually able to drive your car whenever you want.
Well, and so when as us old farts die, and that is the people of society behind, you know, and fair enough, I'll be gone. I won't care. I'm just saying, but they're just like cigarettes. You know, it's like, yeah, go outside and you mentioned California. Go outside in California and smoke a cigarette and see how many people want to lynch mob you, right? I mean, like...
I'm keeping my comment to myself.
But I'm just saying that over time, motorsport burning gas is done.
Yeah.
So, as this transition, I mean, to an extent, they're ahead of the curve. Now, this is a great transition. Can I do the transition, you guys?
You can do the transition, Sean.
Go ahead.
I'll say this. At least they're not forcing the best of the best to race in these. They're just putting out a car and charging $6.04 for it. Now, what if somebody came out with some fantasy ridiculous car and then said, no, this is what we're going to make the best of the best race in? What would you think of that?
Who would do that?
Who
would do that? Who would dare do that?
I don't know. I don't know who would do that. So let's
Devin,
transition.
do you know?
That's not my favorite sim. Definitely not. They would never do it. IR would never do that.
I mean, there are sims who are known for fantasy cars, and there are companies that are known like this, written in stone. We only scan to the millimeter, or we don't breathe.
And if our favorite sim did do it, they certainly wouldn't do a car and track. They would draw the line.
And they'd never make the best racing.
I mean, yeah, the only sim that always keeps all realistic content is iRacing.
Where's my hat? Sean runs his Model T on kerosene and sheep farts. Okay, so this is week 13. That was a pretty good transition, wasn't it?
That was a good one.
Okay. So I couldn't even help patting myself on the back. Okay, so this was week 13. This is week 13 in iRacing. Week 13 is the new build. This was monster, right? This is a monster build here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cars, tracks, updates across the board, AI, new features, showroom features, and then just the typical fixes under the hood that you get as well. One of the big ones, I think, Dallara. I mean, Dallara is one of the most sacred, great names in all of racing. And let's talk about the IR01. I have a nice image. In fact, I'm going to play
the real car, video.
Right? No.
What?
Fantasy.
Is it fantasy?
It's
I could have swore
fantasy.
like.
Didn't I see a video of a wind tunnel?
Okay,
yeah.
Maybe. Hold on. Let's see. What's this?
Segway.
So here's some cool sketchy drawings, like from Dallara. That's Steve.
Yeah.
More sketchy drawings. I got it muted. Here's Andrea Toso of Dallara. There's a bunch of real cars.
Fan service is a bunch of anime girls at the beach, Vinny. Don't confuse your subjects. It's like fan service. Pepsi Simpit Speedway.
So Dallara, the amazing car company Dallara, and iRacing joined forces to design a fantasy car. This is a car that could be made in theory because it was actually literally drawn as a real car, built as a real car, by
I
the
think they
Dallara
said
engineers.
2022. They actually the intention is to actually run it. I believe.
Right.
In 2022, I think, right? Not 20. I think I confused 2021.
It's supposed to be the next iteration of the 22,
Oh,
22
look at their scale
IndyCar.
model.
Yeah.
Oh man, I would love to be able to get the drawings and 3D print that exact model. All right, go on. Sorry, wind tunnel testing. Here we go.
See, there you go. There's a real model of it, so it's real.
Spinning
It
wheels and everything.
exists.
It exists. I mean, it's a little smaller than what it's supposed to be. I mean, it
I
might
can
fit
fit
you,
in it.
Sean. Yeah, you can fit in it.
With your little Tykes chairs. No, okay. So let's like this one here isn't as bad. We'll get to the real rant here in a second, but I think this one has some merit. I think like if we're talking and depending on how this works, real life race companies using simulators to test their products in order to better their actual race car, then that kind of makes it a little bit acceptable-ish, kind of. Maybe not a lot, but like a little bit, Like, and then that seems what they're doing. It looks like they're actually trying to get data from the sim so they can apply it to the real world, which is really, really cool. And to think that sims have come that far that they're willing to even try that is a very, very neat thing. So there is some merit to this one, I think.
I'll give you that. Amir, thoughts?
I mean, my question would be, again, who asked for this?
Yes.
I mean, I bought the car, I drove it, I love driving it because it reminded me a lot of the 2004 Ferrari F1 car with the big screaming V10 in it.
The Widowmaker.
It reminds me a lot of that. Yes, it drives. It's fast as hell. It handles beautifully, but who's actually going to race it? Like, you're going to have to at least need an A license class to race it.
Well, the best in iRacing are going to race it.
Right. So, like, who's going to race it on a regular basis? And I don't know.
Stacy brought up a good point there that it should be free if they're going to do this kind of thing. That might be or even cheaper, make it like a tech car, like they used to have tech tracks.
Yeah.
That's a
That
good
might be a way
segue into Simpit, Pepsi,
Simpit, PepsiCo Speedway,
Super Duper Speedway.
Super duper, man.
So another part of the content, yeah. So let's not drop the Dallara here, but I think that they're charging full fare for a car that, despite Dallara putting in their work, and I don't know what the arrangement was, they didn't have to do their normal process. They didn't have to go scan the car and do all of, I don't know the difference in making it. It might have been easier, it might have been more difficult, but it's not the typical car. And they charge full fare. Super Speedway. iRacing Super Speedway. Which, anybody who remembers, this was NASCAR 2003, right? Or was it 1998? I think it was 2003.
2003.
Super Speedway was part of an add-on pack, if I'm not mistaken. It didn't come in the box. I think it came later. And it was a fantasy track, which at the time was just so pleasantly welcomed. I don't think a single person in the world back then was like, what are they doing, what's this? Everyone was like, yay, content. This is before DLC. Kinda. So, but gosh, I saw a lot of people really upset about this one too. $15 for the track, full fare.
And this,
$15 to put your foot down for 30 seconds.
Yeah, and Billy brought up a great point too, is like, why are we paying full price for content that's not even real? Like, we understand paying, the $14 for the tracks, paying the $11 for the cars, but the time and effort they put into it to laser scan every single detail of the car to make sure all the parameters are correct. We understand why that, but taking these fantasy cars and tracks and giving it to such a normal price, like, why? Like, did you guys put the same amount of effort as you would in the real cars that you guys scan and put data in? I don't get it.
Right. Well, and they kind of already set their own standard with tech tracks. So, and here we are with Long Beach. It's kind of ironic that Long
13
Beach,
years later.
Coca-Cola comes out at full price and Long Beach comes out at the same time.
Oh, the Simpit Super Speedway. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Simpit Pepsi Super Speedway. Yeah, so that's the part I think, because you look at Long Beach, which after the misery of the delay, because of all the stories we heard about the difficulty of Long Beach and this and that, and Long Beach is a very spectacular track. It's kind of funny that at $14.95, if I didn't buy the tech one, it's the same price as the previous version. I mean, as Super Speedway, which doesn't seem quite fair either. Yeah.
But somebody mentioned licensing. Wasn't there like a whole thing with Coke? Wasn't that the whole like a Coke had to contest? So there is some kind of licensing going on there. Just to be aware, there is some kind of deal. We don't understand it. We don't know much about it. But there was an open discussion on Twitter about the Coke actually working with them.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at it, it was always talked about as Coca-Cola Speedway. Then like a couple of days before, it just stopped, and then the day of was like, oh, it's the iRacing Super Speedway.
Well, see,
or now the Simpit Super Speedway.
It would have had to have been $18.95 to maintain the Coke name. That's the problem.
Yeah. Yep. Probably, yeah.
Or if we went the opposite math, if it was $10.95 and it is called iRacing, but at $14.95 it needs to be called Coke.
Okay, I accept you.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay. So, have you driven it?
Not yet. No.
Devin?
I've been too busy with the Solar and the Lambo.
I went and watched a few people check it out just so that I could make sure I saw it. But for me, it's just unless you're an oval driver or a tester, it's just not. That's not something I want.
The fake content is because during COVID they can't just hop on a plane and go somewhere and scan something. Everyone's shut down, can't go anywhere, and so you have to build fantasy content. I love it. Might be more relevant than we think, actually.
Well, okay, so actually I was going to mention that because they have done real content. The thing is they got a lot of actual real world scan stuff done because of COVID, because people weren't using it. The factories were slower. They were able to go to BMW with this new car that's coming out, and they have this new car ready before the car comes out. Like they're ahead of the game with that. So to me, it's like they wasted extra resources on this car or on this track rather. I mean, the car again. I can give credit to the car, but for the track, this is something they should have done when they were legitimate slow, when they ran out of ideas.
Sure.
There's so much other stuff they could get.
And if you think about it, the MX-5 that they built, they had theirs done before Mazda had rolled one out of the production line, I do believe. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, building it off of things other than an actual scan is acceptable if done properly, I suppose. Okay, so I don't want to. Okay, so there was a lot of content in this build. It goes way beyond. So the IRO one, which, I think for me the IRO one and even the track, I would have liked to have seen them at a discounted rate, and they probably would have prevented a lot of negative opinion had they themselves acknowledged the difference when they've been so strict in their rules for so long. It's that Dale Jr. He comes in and they just throw the rule book out, huh? No, I'm kidding. No, I do not believe that at all.
In that same vein, we're giving them a lot of scuff here. We're being a little hard on them for the fake content. But as Jason kind of hinted at, and as we all know, there was a lot of new content that came in this patch. So while there's a couple things that were like, we got the Brands Hats rally, we got a dirt track, we got the other. There was actually two rally tracks that came out. There was a dirt track that came out. That all the cars got tire models. What was some of the other side? I think Amir had the list right over there. The Huracan, the BMW.
Yep. Cedar Lake, Long Beach.
That was the track.
Yeah, and the massive tire updates too. And guys, don't get us wrong. Like, we're not hating on iRace or anything like that. Like, like I said, I love the IR01. I think it's a great car to drive. It's fantastic. I love open wheel cars. But to me, at that price and who it's marketed for, is kind of that's what I'm questioning. That's all.
Yeah. Well, and I don't like that they're putting it to that's the new competition car now, and it's like, well, wait, come on.
I mean, and in a way, I can understand it, because I mean, the Formula One car they have now is a very old car now, in today's standards. I mean, they had to come out with
But it's
some.
got tire compounds.
Yeah.
Well, and you could argue too that a tin top doesn't deserve the top honor in the road racing
Right.
plateau. As much as I'm a tin top guy, and I know you have top levels of tin top racing, but there's nothing superior to Formula One in the world of road racing. So if you're going to race at the highest level, it's supposed to be done in that manner. And this is, I guess, as close as they can provide. All right. But now I drove some of the other stuff. So this big block modified. This is a crazy car.
That's all on you, buddy. I don't think me and Devin haven't driven it
You
yet.
guys haven't driven it? And
No.
Cedar
No,
Lake?
Yeah, not yet. I will be getting into the Cedar Lake dirt oval stuff though. Billy's got a dirt league, as we not so subtly shout out that dirt league. Teach us how to dirt oval, Billy. So I'll be testing out a lot of the other content. I'm actually excited for that big block. The big block looks really cool. People that do drive dirt and are actually good at it say it's amazing.
Everyone who drives dirt says it's amazing, and it was like a car that a lot of the community wanted. It's big, big, big on the East Coast. Not as big out here, from what I understand, but it was a really fun car to drive, and it drove different than the other dirt cars they have. So it felt like it was a nice addition to the lineup of dirt cars instead of being repetitive. Whereas, like, you look at that mid-range open wheel, and we start to get repetitive on some of the cars. It's like, gosh, do you really need
F2, F3, FR 2.0? They're the same.
that whole middle
essentially
brackets? Yeah, there's
Yeah.
And then what I loved about Cedar Lake is that Cedar Lake is a different track. So it's very unique compared to the other dirt ovals that they have. So again, for me, I think that's one of the things that I love about racing is that everywhere you go is different. Different corner radiuses, different angles of the corners, different layouts, different topography, all that kind of stuff. I think is what makes racing kind of fun, because if it was the same track every day, it would be really boring. And I think that in ovals you get a lot more repetitive very quickly, because it's a configuration that's more repeated than road layouts kind of thing. Whereas Cedar Lake just really, really felt cool. Billy's saying the tire construction is different on the big block from what they were saying. In terms of the size and stagger aspect, because it's a different kind of feeling car than like the sprint cars with big giant outer wheels. Is that what you mean, or it was different than that car really has in real life? I'm not sure. I don't know much about dirt. I just drive them. Not well, but I just drive them. What was the other stuff? Have you guys tried out other content in the new build?
I've tried
the
out other
Lambo?
content, but I wanted to mention this. Mike made a comment before it goes up. Something about the Nascars being nerfed. I didn't realize they made them easier. I did read about it, and I haven't driven them since the update, but I didn't know they made them
the
easier.
tire
Is that
model.
the case?
No, it's the tire model they did.
Yeah, I thought it was just more refined. I didn't think it was like specifically easier or anything like that. Not that I'd heard of, but I haven't had the chance to drive the oval cars yet. But the new tire model, as far as I understand it, feels really good.
Yeah.
I've been happy with it so far.
Yeah. And then the new Rallycross. So now the Rallycross was at Charlotte, which is a free track. So this was another
And Brands Snatch.
And now Brands is free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brands,
We ran the
Brands and Olton.
So ultimately, as we give them a hard time for charging and I'm not saying they shouldn't have charged for the car or the track. I think they could have created a new tier though, of maybe the track could have been $12 instead of $15, and people probably would have been like, "Oh, that's cool," and the car probably could have been what are cars $12.95, right? So the car could have been $11. And people would have been like, "Oh, that's cool," but at full fare, I think they bought themselves a few people throwing shade on it. But with that said, yeah, 2 new Rallycross tracks,
Good.
which
Good
is very
Rallycross tracks.
needed.
Oh, so you get 3. No, actually, it's 3 Rallycross tracks. So you forget Irwindale Figure 8.
As
Well,
a
that's not Rallycross. That's not Rallycross though. They put a jump in it for the figure 8, I think, for the week 13s. But But yeah,
No,
I get it.
it's actually part of the update. It was part of the.
The thing I wonder about them putting a jump on that there is a little bit of speculation here. We've been kind of talking with like the Pro 2s and the Pro 4s about getting like ramps for a Road America for that you can
Long
do
Beach.
like Pro 4s.
They run that car. They
Long
run those
Beach,
trucks
yeah.
at Long Beach.
Exactly, right? So like that, I'm hoping that this is leading in that vein because that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But other than
Yeah.
that, I mean, I'm not too excited about the figure 8. That's just kind of like a fun flavor of life kind of thing, you know. But those rallycross tracks are good. While we're talking about them, holy wow, are they good? They're solid. They're probably like Hell was really difficult when they added the Longbonden or whatever, however you say that. The Hell was really difficult. These two, they're hard, but they have some flow and they are good.
I haven't driven
Well, you gotta
Brands
think about
Hatch
it.
yet.
Because they've been working on Brands Hatch ever since they started work on the dirt cars. Correct me if I'm wrong, Billy, because I remember you saying that you were one of the guys that was working on that track too.
I love so getting back to the ramps. So the reason for me the rallycross tracks are really important is like, and right now the trucks are plagued by the problem that rallycross used to have. When rallycross came out, there just wasn't enough to do. So you bought the cars, but if you ran any kind of series, it's like, okay, so we're at the same track every 4 weeks, you know, and it was like kind of like, even for us, we were using, right now to run the trucks, you have to use the rallycross tracks, otherwise you're constantly at the same place.
2 or whatever it is tracks, yeah.
Which is until they get more tracks that are built for that truck specifically, the trucks, they really, and Crandon's a great addition in the last build, but I mean, the ramps would really go a long way to keep the people who paid for the trucks happy, and I'm sure that everyone who bought the truck would gladly run them at road courses with ramps, because we've basically done that without the ramps. So yeah, but now I feel like the rallycross are finally getting to the point where, wow, okay, you could have a good rallycross league in iRacing now, and there's enough tracks to bounce around from to really keep it quite entertaining.
Well, and enough free tracks. That's another important thing. Is like you have the Mazdas. The reason why Mazda works so good as a rookie series is you have enough free content. The rookies has been rotating the same 3 tracks over and over again for a year and a bit now. Right now, they actually have a season almost.
Yeah, that's a big difference. I think that's the kind of stuff that does go a long way in getting people sucked in to iRacing. Because they have to accept that some people are going to come in and not buy much. They're going to do what they can without spending money. And then yet, if people come in and start spending a bunch of money and they aren't immediately rewarded by the sim, they're going to get out of there quick because they realize what a money trap it would be. I mean, I just talked to somebody who'd been away from the sim. I'm not going to name names, but I just today talked to him. He's been away from iRacing a little while, you know, and money and whatever was a factor. And so he came back to it. And so he had to kind of not only get his account going, but buy new content. And he's like, oh, I'll buy a little of this, a little of that to do what he wanted to do. And it was $200. And he was nowhere near where he needed to be. But $200 later, you know, I'm still in wanting of more content and haven't even fulfilled my needs, and it already cost me that much. So I think having enough free content to keep people entertained, to suck them in, because they're going to get their money later. That's the way iRacing works, you know. Does anybody know if you came in today and bought a 1-year membership and just hit buy all, do we know what that number is? And will it immediately give you a full content discount?
Josh! Where's Josh? Josh! Calculate it real quick.
Brandon just did the same thing. Yeah, I want to know what that number is. And do you and I don't know if it immediately get the all content discount if you, or do you have to like trick it and buy enough content then to get your discount to then purchase the rest, or if you did it all at once, will it give you the discount of that?
I don't know.
Because it's a big discount. I have no idea.
Like $2,500.
Yep.
$2,500. That sounds about right.
Yeah, about right.
Oh,
I thought I remember somebody saying like 3 or something like that last year. So yeah, it's right around there.
that's a lot of money for sim racing.
I mean, you got to think about how much content iRacing has now available too, compared to like 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, and now the legacy content costs you like $5.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah.
gone
I
up.
forgot about that. That's right.
So it's probably closer to like 4 or 5 now.
Oh wow.
Probably.
Yeah, but you know what? It would be. There's no reason to buy the legacy content unless you needed it.
Right.
But that guy wasn't thinking that. He just clicked all. He wasn't making choices.
He was just like, I don't have this stuff. Let's fill the rest of it.
All right. Anything else we didn't hit on the new build? It was a really big build. I
there's a
feel
couple.
yeah. What do you got?
The Huracan.
So we didn't touch on the
Ooh, the
Huracan
Huracan.
or Long Beach. Come on, man. We can't forget these two
Long
things.
Beach.
Well, we kind of have talked about it, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Long Beach was worth $15.
Yeah, it's an amazing track, man. Took them 13 years to build it, but it's finally here.
I think it's the nicest track iRacing's ever built.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm I've only watched content yet. I haven't purchased it. I'm buying it and doing it this week. But like I've been waiting for this since I joined iRacing.
Oh, dude,
This
I've just been hot lapping in the Lambo at Long Beach just over and over again. It's just so fantastic.
The Lambo was really fun. I really enjoyed the
Yes.
Lambo. That's GT3. We don't get that in our series, do we?
I mean, I could do it for you.
Alessia is $1,500.
Back to that again. No, we're not gonna do that. Wait. So Amir,
well-
Alesh got us a number.
1,504.
Yeah, it makes sense because Alessia hasn't really bought anything, so all right.
Okay. 50. Okay.
That's not that. I mean, it's still bad, but that's not as bad.
Yeah, I mean,
Better than we thought.
it's so hard to compare because I mean, like, if you bought everything there was from Race Room, you'd have as much content.
Yeah.
And that would be what? How much is their full package? Like $99. If you bought their
For Race Room, something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, if you buy it on like the Black Friday sale, it's usually like $80. You get all of the enough whatever RP stuff to buy all of it.
Yep.
If you buy it the wrong way though, like if you buy it through Steam or whatever, it can easily cost you a few hundred.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, go back to that Lambo. Like, I don't know if it's down to the new tire model or just the car itself, but that thing is just by far the best GT3 car I've driven in iRacing so far. I could just chuck that car in a corner. I mean, just thrash her around the track, and that thing will just grip. But once you go over that limit, it will punish you, though.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and talking about cars, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the new Dodge.
It's not out yet. It's next week.
It's not out yet, but it's coming.
It's next week.
The new Dodge.
Have you
Yeah,
look at the grill?
M4,
Yeah,
Dodge M4 GT3.
The Dodge M4. I was like, so that's on Monday, right? Monday, the GT4.
On the 17th,
And that one's a
Yeah,
GT3 also?
it's a GT3. It's replacing the BMW Z4.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm actually excited for the car. Like it is good to get an update on it because they've been doing like the Ford and the BMW that are currently in the GT3 series. They've both been updating to keep up with the other cars. They shouldn't be as fast as they are, and they have ticks
Right.
from like you can tell that they're older cars.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if they do this right, they get this new Dodge M4 in. And then they get the Lambo in. They could pull out the Ford, and maybe we could start getting the new damage model on those cars.
No, Jeff, it's the BMW, but we're just joking about the big grill on it.
Jason,
The grill-
17th. See, what I wasn't sure if it was the 14th or 17th.
It's the 17th,
Okay,
yeah.
17th. So next week, not Monday.
Uh,
Thursday.
I mean, yeah, so yeah, just driving the Lambo. I mean, even then, like, I mean, get into it like with the tires. Because for me, like the biggest thing with the tires, like I think they did a great job with the tires. This update, because now, like when I used to drive the Audi R8, like there was something wrong in translation between me feeling the car and what it was doing versus like my inputs. But now it just seems so seamless now, be able to drive an Audi at full speed. So I mean, it could be down to the tires about why the Lambo feels so great to drive.
Yeah. GT3s, man, they're all the rage in sim racing. Everyone's got them.
In case you guys are wondering and you haven't seen the picture, there's the link to the iRacing.com website. That is the BMW GT3 M4 that they're releasing. It's just it looks like a fat Charger. It's like a squatter but chubbier kind of Charger.
I see what you're saying with that grill. Actually, I think
Yeah, that's a Dodge grill. Like that's a BMW with a Dodge grill.
Yeah.
I think I can pull it up. Oh, There it is.
There you go. I didn't think to say when we were talking about assets about this one. I kind of forgot about that joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like a Dodge Charger BMW. It's very awkward looking. I don't know why they went with that grill.
That is a much better representation of a GT3 car than the Z4.
Yeah.
And there's the wheel. There's the steering wheel. You see it? Oh, you guys don't see it. But there's the
That wheel.
There's the Fanatec steering wheel.
Did we talk about that wheel earlier?
I think we did.
Is that the same wheel I can use in real life in my car and on a sim?
Maybe.
Okay, cool.
Supposedly. Kinda.
Supposedly.
Kinda.
Cool.
Kinda.
I'm all for it.
Kinda, sorta, maybe. I'm gonna give it that. Kinda, sorta, maybe. So, all right. Well, you know what? We are now over time, and it is time for the Simpit Assetto Corsa Competizione Kyalame race at Sim Racing GP. So everyone's going to head over there right now. I missed registration. No, I was going to be able to make the race today. Anyway, next week I'll be there for sure. Anyway, that is going to do it for 3 Wide. And we're always here on the second Saturday of every month. So we will see you in 2021. This is the last show of the year. Oh, Max. Hey, Max. What's up, buddy? You came to say hi. All right, so yeah, this is the final show of the year. I think that we'll kick things off. Second week.
Yeah.
Second week in January. Yeah, that shouldn't be any conflict.
2021.
Anyway, thanks for being here. Thank you, Devin Booth. Thank you for your thoughts, your opinion. Amir Assad, thank you so much for joining me here as well. And thank you all.
Always a pleasure having fun with you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, I enjoy it. And again, if you ever have ideas of anything that you think we should talk about on the show, jump into our Discord channel and grab me, Amir, or Devin, talk to any one of us. Let us know. You should talk about this on 3 Wide. It's the perfect topic. But that's going to do it for this one. Get out there, do some sim racing. Happy New Year. Happy holidays to everybody. See you in 2021. 3
This
Wide.
is the Simpit.
Signing off.
Hey guys.
Later, guys.